Alright. So, I have been talking about all the adaptations coming down the road for the fantasy genre a lot, and it'll probably be turned down for the near future. Not nearly as much adaptation talk, except covering the new ones announced or any new casting or major news for them, because it's consuming my channel, and I don't want to be the guy who just keeps track of these barrage of fantasy adaptations that's coming out, especially when I'm sure half of them won't actually even reach any screen. A lot of them are still rumored, and I probably should have made that more clear right away. A lot of the ones that are reported, it's more like, oh, the IP's been bought, but just because the IP's been bought does not mean the show is coming in any way, shape, or form. Just look what happened to Wheel of Time with Red Eagle Entertainment. They held that IP for quite some time before doing anything with it. But what I would like to do in this video is taking all of those factors out of the picture, just based off the IPs alone. Which adaptations am I most excited for? Whether they've already begun filming or they're still just rumored. Which ones would I like to see reach my little phone or laptop screen? Because I hardly watch things on a TV anymore. I don't know why. It's there's something about it that's a hassle. I'd rather just have it here on my, I don't know, whatever. Getting into it, Daniel's top 10 fantasy adaptations that are either in production or still maybe just only rumored, but I'm excited to hear about it. Starting off with number 10. The Kingkiller Chronicles is being turned into a movie and a miniseries, which I'm excited for. And I know I wasn't super hot in the books, but the way the books are written, I think it could make a really good adaptation, and WoT has a strong enough character to certainly carry that series on his own, and hopefully with an adaptation, some rewriting, they can maybe even tone down some of the aspects of the series I liked the least that many people who saw my reviews kind of echoed. And aside from those flaws, I do feel Kingkiller is a really wonderful story. So if we can kind of tone down some of the negatives of the adaptation, and tone up a few of the things that do make Kingkiller really wonderful and great, I think this could be one of the best adaptations that does come out, so I'm looking forward to it. The fact that it's going to be a miniseries and a movie is interesting. I don't know if they're going to be canon with each other, or what exactly the plan is there. If anyone has some kind of knowledge I've missed out on, please let me know. But let's go ahead and jump on in to number 9, and that's The Dark Tower. I know what you're saying, Daniel. You previously said you were not excited for this one. And yeah, I did say that, but I've also gotten more and more hot on the Dark Tower series recently, and I shouldn't let how poorly a previous adaptation did affect a completely new clean cut of adapting that series. Otherwise, the Lord of the Rings movies would have been bad just because there was those bad, single movie that tried to do the whole Lord of the Rings animated disaster. No, they're completely separate, and I do really like Dark Tower, so the more I think about it, the more I am excited to see the Dark Tower come to life. I almost put Dresden Files here instead, because that's also kind of in talks, but it's so early on, and there's something so charming about the Dresden Files I love in a book that I'm not sure they'll be able to carry over into a movie format or a TV show format, so I think I'm settling on Dark Tower making this list and Dresden not. Also, the fact that Dark Tower has a much bigger world and has this kind of dimensional hopping gives it some unique little twists that really intrigue me, that if done right on any screen would be wonderful to see. So looking forward to that. Moving on to number 8, and that is Diablo. I know what you're thinking. Daniel, it's a video game adaptation. It's going to be bad. And you're probably right. You're 99.999% right. This adaptation of all the ones on my list is probably most likely to fail and be horrible, because there is a curse, and this is coming from a guy who does not believe in curses, but there is a curse on video game adaptations being largely fair to horrid. So at best, going with current trends, this could be fair. But if Diablo is done right and is turned into a TV show, especially the storyline from Diablo 2, I would be 100% all in. But if they announce it's Diablo 1, I'd be a little more hesitant. Diablo 3, I would put money down it would crash and burn and fail. The reason I am excited for this is I do love those video games, and in the slim chance they actually do them justice and capture that magnetic atmosphere that is so dark, and they do the lore justice of taking these Christian themes and turning them into this horror type dungeon crawler experience, it would be truly amazing. So if because of that slim chance and my deep connection to Diablo 2, which I've probably sunk the most time in of any dungeon crawler and arguably maybe any PC game, I'm gonna put it on this list and really hope for it. I'm pulling for you. You're gonna be bad though. And at number 7, we have the live action Avatar adaptation coming down the road. Again, this is a case of ignoring a previous adaptation altogether, not counting it. It doesn't exist. What are you talking about? Instead, I'm gonna be focusing on the fact that I've watched the original anime. It was really good. I used to be against anime. I've kind of been more turned around recently, and this one was charming. It's definitely aimed at kids, but it's very charming. With the original creators involved and Netflix seemingly throwing all the money everywhere, it'll probably at least look really good and certainly be better than what we got before, redeeming the Avatar universe a little bit. And on that alone, I'm really looking forward to it and hoping it does that series even somewhat justice after M. Night Shyamalan, dropped a deuce on it. At number 6, we have His Dark Materials, which would have probably been a little lower if it wasn't for the fantastic casting that's been announced. James McAvoy is really just brilliant in almost every role I've ever seen the guy take on. If you haven't seen Split with him, I highly recommend it. If you've not seen him portraying Charles Xavier, he's probably doing the best job of acting of anyone in that movie, in my opinion, second only to Michael Fassbender, who is Michael freaking Fassbender, as well as several other movies that really I enjoyed his performance in. While he doesn't always do the best films, his portrayal in those films is almost always the standout, and that is true to the 10th degree in Split. Seriously, watch Split if you have not. I know M. Night Shyamalan's kind of a hack now, but that movie, his performance carries it, and it's seriously worth checking out. Also, with the girl who played X-23, I think that's what it was, or whatever the little girl is in Logan, I'm sorry, I'm bad with names and comic book names, is playing Lyra, and she seems to embody that feisty personality spot on. I usually hate child actors, but she killed it in Logan, so I'm hoping she could kill it here too. I'm in. With those two alone, I'm in, but I think I've seen other casting stuff that was good for it as well. I forget. Correct me if whatever, moving on. At number 5, we have the fact that Gentlemen Bastards has been announced. This is probably the one that's in the earliest, maybe second to Diablo in terms of the IP being transformed into something, but Gentlemen Bastards stands out from its fantasy peers for having just so many other elements from different genres throughout it. This heist element, this guy love, bro love, crime. It feels so good, and the just tone of that series is brilliant. And if you want something that can stand out from the crowd, I believe Gentlemen Bastards should be anyone's really go-to there in terms of the flood of fantasy that's coming down the road, because it's not only a character piece, it's almost a relationship piece. Read the books if you're a fantasy fan at all. Check them out. Love them. Scott Lynch, I hope to meet you one day and get you to sign my copy, because you wrote something really special when it comes to Gentlemen Bastards. At number 4 is a book I did not like, but the casting alone has skyrocketed it up my list to probably one I'm most excited for just to see the performances, and that is Dune. I did not like the Dune book, largely because I felt the pacing was god-awful and it spent too much time on just the world, and that's coming from the guy who loves world building nonstop. But I was just like, please give me some character and plot to really care about. But if there's an adaptation that can do it and make me care about the characters, it's the movie that casts Javier Bardem. It's the movie that casts Jason Momoa. It's the movie that casts Dave Bautista. It's the movie that casts this flood of some of Hollywood's greatest performers currently working. My God, how much money is backing this? And a lot of these actors are known for not picking up scripts unless they think they are really solid. So I'm actually going to give Dune an award on this list that means nothing but my opinion, and that is most likely to be fantastic. Yes, it's only number 4 on my list, but I think of all the adaptations that are going to come, and this one is certainly coming, they've already cast it, this one has the highest likelihood of just being something truly top-notch, because holy bejesus, do they have some incredible people involved. And that brings me to number 3, and that is the Stephen King adaptation of The Stand. Arguably Stephen King's greatest story ever told, a mini-series that is finally giving this humongous story the time it really needs to shine and grow, being helmed by a director, Josh Boone, who has proven himself on previous projects. I'm looking forward to this one. I have a really good feeling we're going to finally get that, because yes, it is wonderful, and the movie that came out is almost as good as the book, and The Shining is probably the best horror movie ever made. But in terms of Stephen King books with potential, The Stand on its own is one that can stand out from any crowd, really. You need to really capture a lot, But if it's done right, oh my god, anyone who's read The Stand can understand what I'm talking about. It's something else. It's a story that grabs you in ways you really don't expect and holds you in a disturbing, just grip till the very, very end. And arguably Stephen King's best character work ever. No pressure though, Josh. At number 2, we have The Witcher coming down at Netflix. I went from cold to warm to cold to warm to hot on this one. I kind of had reasons to doubt it. Netflix seems to be spreading themselves thin, but with this basically being their flagship, I'm in. I'm wanting to see what Henry Cavill can do to portray Geralt on the TV screen, not big screen, never gonna be in theaters, but this is one of the best modern fantasy stories ever told. It's one of the best characters within the fantasy genre, and if it's done well, I'm repeating myself a lot here, could be something that goes down in history, and could easily match a Game of Thrones level quality in overall show performance if they capture certain elements of that story very well. So, number 2, solidly The Witcher. I see all the elements there. It just needs to be well executed now, and that's far enough along in production that we really can see all the elements are there. It's just coming down to script and execution of that script now. So let's hold our breaths. Not really, it's still many months from being released. You'll die, don't do that. But, you know, I'm excited. Let's look, let's wait and see. And at number 1, surprising no one, because Daniel is a biased hack, we have the Wheel of Time adaptation, which just got its director announced with the amazing Ulta Bielaczyc. I really hope I'm saying your name right. As was previously covered in Fantasy News with the host who's total jerk face over there, she has previously directed Westworld, Stranger Things, Black Sails, Altered Carbon. Fantastic resume, so seeing her join up with the Wheel of Time adaptation is really cool. The writers who seem to be diehard fans, that gives me a lot more hope as well. Those are 2 huge elements that point to this show being great, having fans in the writer's room who deeply understand the series, and an experienced director who's worked with fantasy and sci-fi and things like that before, and a wonderful filming location announced in Prague. Awesome, that city is just next level. Really, us the fans just need to wait on hearing what the budget's gonna be and the cast, and beyond that, we're just gonna be nervous for a real long time. But that is Daniel Greene's top 10 most anticipated fantasy adaptations coming down the road. I hope you guys are going to share your top 10 list with me in the comments down below, because believe it or not, I'm really, really curious. I want to see which ones I missed and try to defend them. Which ones did I not include that you think I should take a second look at, and why? Anyway, guys, that's all I'm bringing you today. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your weekend, and have a good one, y'all. Peace!